In a world vastly different from the one José Rizal lived in, the essence of his spirit, intellectual, courageous, and deeply connected to the struggles of the people, still resonates today. But what would a modern day Rizal look like? Someone who dares to speak truth to power, use knowledge as a weapon, and fight for the common good.
Hello, I'm Lance Jeremiah Pilosero. I am 20 years old. A word that would describe me is someone who's social, or a word social, because I like to engage myself with different people.
Dr. José Rizal, the national hero, was a polymath, an intellectual and a fierce advocate for reform. He used his writings, his voice, and his ideas to challenge the status quo. But what does it mean to be a modern day Rizal? Is it merely about influence, or is it about carrying forward the same principles that shaped the Philippines' fight for freedom? José Rizal was more than a writer. He was a visionary who used his talents to challenge societal injustices and inspire change. Figures like Nelson Mandela and Malala Yousafzai, they have followed a similar path. As a team, we uncovered someone closer to home, a normal individual studying at Cebu Doctors University, hidden in plain sight. This person embodies the same qualities of leadership, intellect, and purpose that define Rizal's legacy.
Jose Rizal was more than just a writer. He was a visionary. Today, we see people like Lance Jeremiah Lucero who are using their talents, platforms, and influence in similar ways to challenge societal injustices and offer solutions. In the family, could you tell us a little about your family background? What was your family dynamic growing up?
Um, Growing up, we are five sa family, talo ka children. Ako ang youngest. Most of the time, akong parents kay magtrabaho, so kami rin sa akong siblings magstay sa house. But even if akong youngest, ako ang ituwalaan ba, like i-trust akong family. Being the youngest, I put myself in kind of situations where I take charge or like ako na leadership na role ba. I think they would describe me as someone else kanang very determined. I put myself in situations where I'm challenged ba.
Unlike Rizal, Lance grew up in a stable and modern era as the youngest of three siblings. Despite being the youngest, his parents raised him to take on a leadership role. A voracious reader with a curious spirit, he enjoys exploring a variety of hobbies, never limiting himself to just one. He believes in trying everything until he discovers what truly suits him.
During grade school, I'm someone who interacts with a lot of people but don't really put myself kanang out there to the point na the main character good. If wala mo take initiative, I'll just put myself forward.
Did you find yourself naturally taking on leadership roles in school?
Di man guro siya naturally, marag napugos. I think a part of the reason why it's important to take charge or kanang why I put myself in charge, being like the younger person or like being like the youngest of family, I like being able to experience those challenges. Makabaw ka like what are the stuff that are like the problems sa ang environment, but being a leader it gives you the power to like create change. Sa high school, I was part man sa kanang namo ang SG ba, so like mga like fundraising na mga activities like sell big like objects, for example like intramurals, sell big mga different mga items. Mga books maguro to mostly mga children sa like public school near our school, giving that advocacy. They're doing it for a cause, but it also shows them they're sila good, like people are also having different adversities na without, if you don't really put that out there as a leader, okay, some people are clueless to how fortunate they are.
How did your high school years prepare you for the degree you're studying today? Did you find your passion for helping others evolve during that time?
In nursing, because you have to always be empathetic with different people, or being a leader in my high school day, nakahelp siya kay I've interacted with different people. Makabaw ka to adjust yourself but like be flexible in how you interact with different people.
Lance is a 20-year-old boy who describes himself as social, someone who thrives in connecting with people and taking on leadership roles. And despite being the youngest in his family, he learned the value of responsibility. He constantly showed empathy and initiative. Being an only child gives me a unique perspective on family dynamics.
I know that being the youngest doesn't always mean lacking leadership qualities. Often it's about stepping up and proving you can take responsibility. In my own case, though I don't always have the natural charisma or experience that others may possess, I've learned to push myself to lead. With no older sibling to lean on, I had to learn to be self sufficient, and that sometimes translated into stepping into leadership roles, whether in organizing family events or managing responsibilities.
What are some of the talents or skills you have across different fields?
I feel like wako'y talent or skills na excel gid. I double myself in different mga categories or different hobbies. Currently, mag-read or like crochet, like singing.
How do you usually organize your day to make time for everything?
Sacrifice ko like different mga stuff. Like I don't really go out as much to make up for what is needed. Mata, mag-eskwelahan, toon,
His motivations exploring new skills and talents stems from curiosity and a desire to discover his capabilities. His extroverted nature allows him to connect with others and gain new perspective, helping him navigate different aspects of life and embracing opportunities for personal development.
in nursing is always a struggle to balance yung mga needs, but especially like balancing your personal needs or like needs of school. Higher man so far. Knowing that you are capable, you have to always adapt to situations, but it's not like that's part of growing up. So like you have to toughen up lang to go through the day.
What role does social media or technology play in your daily life?
Social media, it brings people closer, but like it allows us to see updates in people's lives or where they are. I have a voice to speak out of. Having people around me, I feel like it's important to voice out concerns or like when you feel like injustice, people in the world feels like social media brings people closer. So masayon sad siya to advocate such causes.
Social media has become a modern pen, a tool to broadcast issues, find justice, and advocate for meaningful change. Just as Rizal used his writing to ignite the Filipino spirit, we now use posts, tweets, and videos to amplify the cries of those in need.
And especially like Palestine, Israel, I feel like it's important to like know more about the issues. But from what I know, kay mga daga kay mga inhumane na mga acts, yeah, that's sort of stuff na I like to voice out of.
How about in the Philippines?
In the Philippines, legalization of abortion, divorce, like voice out dito kasi especially like knowing people na can be affected with such laws, but if people who the lawmakers now, okay, I feel like they don't know what it's like to feel the effects of the laws they're making.
So Palestine is a good example that was answered by our interview. Social media unites us in condemning inhuman acts and calling for justice. It shines a light in stories that must be told and voices that must be heard. Here in the Philippines, it empowers us to challenge laws and norms that affect lives, like issues in abortion and divorce. So these conversations are uncomfortable but necessary.
Rizal used his intellectual and artistic talents to spark change. How do you use your talents, whether through writing, public speaking, or other forms, to communicate ideas and inspire others?
I feel like sa akong self, mostly on like public speaking. Whenever I feel like na ako'y platform to speak, I use it. Writing is better for me, pero I feel like mas dakong impact like public speaking. It allows you to organize yung mga ideas. Morely ka ng like daily life, or whenever you feel like na injustice, mo speak out ba? Inhumane. Mo take away og rights from other people, kay more ng time where I feel like to voice out of, kay more like I'm also passionate about it. Writing as a comfort, speaking I feel like mas louder.
Public speaking helps me articulate my ideas in a better way and connect with other people in a manner that impacts them. This exchange of perspectives opens minds, creating small ripples that can eventually lead to change.
It starts more of like chain reaction. If you're passionate with what you're speaking, okay, it can also open other people but to like different na mga beliefs, or the ones they start to see such na perspective, okay, most like time na they can share it to other people. So I feel like change is slow, but it also gives you the motivation to start now.
This realization motivates me to use my voice and my talents for a purpose, knowing that something small can lead to something huge.
Education is not just about academic learning. It is a transformative force that shapes who we are, who we aspire to be, and how we contribute to society. However, Challenges like inequality, outdated system, and limited access hinder its full potential. Many learners are left behind due to rigid teaching methods that fail to adapt to diverse needs.
For me, education is important. It shapes who you are, allows you to be the person you want to be. Without education, it's would to attain your goals in life. I feel like right now, I'm starting to learn about my future course or future job. Everything I learned studying at school, like in this course, will play an impact in how I treat, as a nurse, like how I treat my patients and how I interact with them. Education is important. It has an effect like who you are now. Pero I feel like our education system said right now is kind of bitong flawed. It only caters to the people na specified bitong ng group. Like usually mga visual learners like maka-benefit. Mga uban kind of learners kay mabilin or like fail because teaching na platforms cannot beneficial to them. Education is important pero somehow it's flawed the way ato i-deliver. The cognition effect. Education allows you to think more critically, even like in elections. Most people who are easily manipulated by the politicians, baka people of like less kind of fortunate ba, mas easy mas like manipulate. They are unable to think the whole or like the entire country morely on themselves kay sa kalisod ba. Education today is morely privilege, and good education is morely for the privileged. Education is only beneficial to a certain group. I have friends na maglisod kaya sa fast-paced teaching. Not everyone can benefit sa such na system.
What do you think about the education system right now? Do they encourage students to think critically, or why or why not?
I think it helps people to think critically pero very inside of the box. Education system na to you must be that type to excel. Mga people who are creative or think differently, they are shunned by education na to na system. Our system should improve. Also, giving mind to those people, most of the time, is like maka-buhat og change sa tong society. As a student, you need to have time management, persevere sa kanang mga kalisod ba. I feel like teachers are underappreciated in the society. The teachers themselves don't feel like ilang role in educating children. This lang na naka-important sa internalize nila ba. They should view it as their role now. It shapes the people's future. Thus, their actions, bisag sa nakagamay, may affect yapon siya sa our future tomorrow. Because like, imagine na, like, the person na makadiscover like cancer na vaccine, kinardi siyang class, like, with that capability na if they don't try to foster na environment, who knows?
If Rizal were alive today, how do you think he would approach in improving education?
Rizal, he's the type of person na kailan ako. I feel like he views everyone should have the right to education. If he was alive today or he had effects sa education, broad or mas inclusive ang education now.
So how interested are you in following political events in the Philippines?
I think what's prevalent sa ang political landscape rin is like political dynasties. Most Filipinos like to vote candidates that they are familiar with. If you want to create change, you have to like try stuff new or unorthodox to get a real change.
When answering questions regarding his views on the political landscape, the interviewee expressed his frustration with government corruption and the abuse of power which would lead to injustice in the nation. And I realized that this directly connects with Rizal's critiques of the Spanish colonial government and the Catholic Church's corruption. Rizal was deeply concerned about the concentration of power and also its detrimental effects on society.
So how do you think these issues affect everyday Filipinos, especially the youth?
Like especially in the Philippines, kay mga very traditional aspects, change is hard to come by in the Philippines. As a student or like as someone na middle class, I'm fortunate enough to not feel such difficulties. Like yung mga people of lower status, ma-feel nila politics affect our daily lives.
So what qualities do you think are essential for good leadership in politics?
Politicians, mga hard to kanang tuog, they're very self-driven. As a leader, you have to be someone who knows the hardships and people are voting for, like even like sa US, kaya na bitong people born of privilege. Who are they to know the difficulties of the normal people? If you want to vote for someone who is like you but also capable of inflicting change.
He also mentioned how contemporary politicians misuse their positions for personal gain and This reflects Rizal's enduring critique of the elite's manipulation of power, as seen in his portrayal of the corrupt Spanish authorities in No Limitangere and El Filibusterismo. And Rizal's call for reform against such abuses remains a very, very relevant discussion today.
What message would you give to the youth about political engagement and responsibility?
Not to direct yourselves in kung sa'y to sa mga tao, kay kung sa'y mo tuon. You have to be smart with your political decisions. Always be open to different ideas because like we're not only voting for ourselves but voting for the entire country. And I feel like you have to be open to know that change is for the good of the many.
For personal experiences with adversity, can you share a moment when you faced challenges or opposition because of your beliefs?
Yeah, because lahang views baka very traditional. As someone who's kanang very open-minded to kanang ideas, I feel like nagay mga challenges ng time na mag-argue with different people or like mustahan gid kasi mo hang belief ba. I'll try my best to kanang convey my ideas or share my belief pero not to the point na kanang mamugos.
Topics like abortion and divorce remain taboo in the Philippines due to deeply ingrained cultural, religious, and moral values, particularly stemming from Catholicism's influence. Many people equate these issues with sin, making them emotionally charged and difficult to discuss. Incorporating comprehensive education about these topics, highlighting their social, legal, and medical implications, can also help demystify them and make dialogue more constructive.
As someone who kanang experience kanang different adversities kay mas open bit ako like to how example like people even if like di ko babae lang mustahan ko mga like abortion rights even though I don't feel those adversities, other people may also feel those. It's important to be a collective, allow people to have that right, but especially kanang divorce, even if like you believe in the like sanctity of like marriage, you shouldn't take away that right from other people because we don't know what it's like to feel such challenges.
Individuals not directly affected by these issues can act as allies by amplifying the voices of those who are impacted. They can educate themselves, engage in respectful dialogues, and use their platforms to spread awareness.
Are there specific issues or causes that resonate with you the most?
Not necessarily. Causes na kanang, especially kanang sa mga minorities, I like to voice out on them because like most of the time they don't have a voice of their own or their voice not as heard. Like especially sa ka loud ang social media. Even if you don't feel such oppression, okay, you should help voice out para mas louder.
Is there someone like Rizal or another figure who inspires your courage and resilience?
Wala necessary, but kanang people who, despite feeling such oppression, they still persevere sa such challenges. For example, Rizal, even if he wasn't able to feel or experience the freedom of the Philippines, he was still kanang fighting for it, but even if it's the cost of his own life, like para sa future people. It has an effect in how I encounter, how I can approach problems. Even if change won't happen sa kuang lifetime, even if I won't feel the benefits of my actions, you made the world a better place or you left your imprint sa world for it to be better.
What advice would you give to someone who feels overwhelmed by the challenges of fighting for their values?
Ikaw ragi in charge or ikaw ragi na power for your own, get rid of your own challenges, but you can't really wait for someone to get that privilege for you. You have to fight it for yourself to get what you want.
So you believe in collective action?
Yes. Time ni Rizal kay mas difficult gid ang speaking out. For now like we have like freedom of speech. So wag mo rason na stay apolitical, unaware of the challenges around you because like you already have a voice. You are more privileged than the people before. Now I feel like what reason to not voice out or not try your best to create change.
Yes, it is increasingly difficult to remain apolitical in today's interconnected world. With access to education, information, and digital platforms, individuals are constantly exposed to social and political issues. Remaining silent can be interpreted as complicity, especially in the face of injustice. The availability of resources empowers individuals to make informed decisions, contributing to a greater expectation for participation in societal issues.
Rizal once said, "The youth is the hope of our future." Today, we are that hope.
His experiences taught him that leadership isn't about just standing out. It's about driving and meaningful change and helping others up to rise. And what resonated most from our interview was Lan's passion for education, justice, and collective action.
Through it all, I've come to realize that leadership isn't always about being the loudest or being the most experienced. Sometimes it's about recognizing where you can make an impact and committing to that role, no matter your place in the family or social setting.
I learned to be more vocal than ever, and I feel like it also provides a reminder sa kuha, like especially kanang recently na I'm been busy sa akong studies, and I feel like it also reminds me na the problems in our world is still kanang napadayon.
Just like José Rizal, Lance Jeremiah Lucero continues to challenge the status quo, using their knowledge, influence, and courage to push for a better future. In a world full of challenges, their commitment to progress offers hope and inspiration for the generations to come. The fight for a better future is ongoing. Rizal taught us that our greatest weapon is our mind and our voice. We must continue to use them for the greater good.